Is the process of when you will put an order and what will happen with that order, how that is getting delivered, and after that what will happen, the invoice will be generated, you will pay for the order, you'll get the receipt of that particular thing, then those transactions will sit into some journal. So that is what the O2C process. You can relate this particular process to any e-commerce site. If you'll put an order to Amazon, what will happen? You'll just put an order. Basically you will put your requirement that this is what you need in this particular color, or maybe in this quantity. So all those things you'll put it and you'll place your order. So basically our O2C is also the flow of your order, how that traverses from entering the order into the system to how it will reflect in our bank balances. Okay, so there are 9 steps in O2C. First is like when you will place the order, enter and book the order. So basically entering your detail and then placing your order. Then you will have a step called pick release, which is basically transferring your order from the warehouse to the staging area. So basically there will be a, so whenever we are talking about a very big organization, they will have a warehouses, and from the warehouse they will put the whatever orders they want to ship, they will put it in the staging area, and then from the staging, freight carriers will be picking up those orders. So you can consider that terminology like you might be seeing the delivery and all those companies. What exactly that is doing, that is delivering your order from the staging area to the customer. So that is what this 2 step is about: launch, pick, release, and ship confirm, where your order is getting transferred from your warehouse to delivered to the customer. And then along with the order you will have the invoice. So in our system we will have a step called create invoice. So basically that will generate the invoice, whatever items are delivered in that particular shipment, it will generate the invoice for that, and once the invoice is paid, it will create the receipt. So basically a receipt which will tell that okay, you have paid the invoice and you have paid for this items. And after receipt generation, we have transferred to general ledger, which is transferring your all transactions from order management to receivable. So basically, there are different modules in Oracle apps. So the first 4 steps is handled in order management. This create invoice, create receipts is handled in AR, and transfer to general ledger, journal import and posting is handled in general ledger. So there are 3 modules basically involved in generic O2C process. There are different types of O2C process flows, but if we'll talk about the generic process flow, where if you will place an order, you already have that item available in your warehouses. So in that case, it will follow the normal cycle. Okay, so here we are transferring all the transactions to our general ledger. So general ledger you can consider like your books. So basically, if you are running a company, you will be recording all the transactions, where the debit has happened, where the credit has happened, where this particular amount goes, in which particular account. So all those things are recorded in general ledger. So transfer to general ledger will first transfer all the transactions from AR to general ledger module. Then journal import will basically finalize that this all are the transactions, and posting will do the balances. So basically the at the end, this was the profit or this was the lot, this was the amount which got added in this account, or this was the amount which got credited from this account. So all those things will be handling the sales order, and this is the same step which you are doing in your Amazon or Flipkart, where you will first find out your items and book it. Here, the only difference between Oracle apps and your e-commerce platform is that in Oracle apps, you might need to know few things while placing the order. So basically, when you are placing the order, you might be knowing by default item will be assigned to some warehouse, that this item is available in this warehouse. You pick it from there and place it. If you don't know, there will be always some setups which will tell us that this item is linked to this shipping organization. So when we are setting up the item, it can be the shipping organization can be set, and when you will pick that item, the shipping warehouse will be automatically picked up when you are placing the item. Okay, so when you will place the item and you will book the order, the line will be scheduled automatically. Here there is a, if it is not scheduled automatically, there is a way you can schedule it. You just need to right click on your order line, and there you have a schedule unscheduled option through which you can schedule the line. So as soon as when you click on that schedule option, it will submit a concurrent program called schedule order, and that program will do nothing but scheduling. So basically there is a workflow of the order, that what exactly it will do. First it will place, like enter the item, then book the item, then we have scheduling. So scheduling will do basically place a demand, that okay, there is a demand of this particular item, where exactly that is located in which particular warehouse, what it should do. So if you will, there is a option to see the order workflow status as well from the sales order screen itself. Okay, so you can just see where exactly your line is, workflow status of that particular line. So you can have scheduling unscheduling manually, if it is not done automatically. And as soon as the scheduling is done, the order line will go to awaiting shipping stage. So in most of the cases, line scheduling will be automatically, and it will, as soon as you will book the order, it will go to the awaiting status, awaiting shipping state. But there are some items, like there are some restrictions. So those restrictions are like basically, you're not allowed to ship this particular item into this particular area. So there will be some hold supplied. Okay, even if customer is having some credit, like some due payments. So because of that, we there will be some hold on that particular order. So those whole rules will be defined, and based on that rule, the hold will be applied on that line, that you are not supposed to ship this particular order because credit check failed, or because some restriction into that particular area. So you can see those hold information in additional line information. Why exactly that line is not getting shipped, why it's not moving to the awaiting shipping status. So you can see if there is any hold applied. There can be a chance that there are some, just for the configuration perspective, they will apply the hold and someone will check the configuration. So there are different types of item, right? There is single items also you can place. There is a kit item also you can place. So there might be some checks required before placing a kit. So kit is basically a group of items which will be shipped together. So like if you'll consider your cricket kit, so cricket kit might include so many things: bat, ball, your gloves, everything. So there is similar to that. We have so many kit options are also available. So basically those are called configuration items. So for that, you can if any really hold is there, and if you have the right to release the hold, you can release the hold and try to schedule it. Um, so though there are different types of holes, I don't know much about the holes and all, but you can check in the additional hold information what exactly if any hold is applied and you can release the hold or not. And all those hold information will be stored in OE order hold sol, OE order hold releases also, hold sources. So those are the main base tables for hold information. And if you want to check whether this particular item is available into the particular warehouse, whichever is by default coming for that item, you can, there is a button in the sales order screen which is called availability button. You can just see that how many items are still available, so that it can be easily shipped from that particular warehouse. Okay, so there are some technical information which I've tried to cover. I'll not try to go line by line. I've tried to cover everything in whichever step, what exactly will happen, what is the status, the main important columns of those tables, what exactly the status will be of that particular column, when some trigger tables will be impacted at what particular step. Okay, so all those things I have tried to capture for each stage. We can just refer it whenever we'll book the order. It will also create, it will not create a delivery, but delivery details of that order will be entered in the WSH delivery. Delivery will be created when you will pick release the order and try to ship it. So at that time, the new delivery will be created. But when you will book the order, delivery details will be created. Not a new delivery ID, but it's like called delivery details. Okay, so delivery assignments and delivery details tables are the ones which will be having the data when you will book the order at this particular stage. And as I told you, as soon as you will book the order, there is another command, which another program which will be running in the background called demand interface program, which will be putting the demand in the system that, okay, there is a demand of this particular item X with 5 quantities. So basically that will create a demand line in this MTL demand table with this whatever quantities we needed from whichever organization for whichever item code. Okay. Release. So basically pick release will put your item from shipping warehouse, from warehouse to staging area. So this step will you can find it in the order management responsibility itself, where you can release the sales order, and when you will launch the pick release, basically it will create different types of report called pick slip report, shipping exception report, auto pack report. So basically it will have the information that from which warehouse, which location it got shipped to which staging area. So every stage, like this stage is pick, release, and ship confirm. There will be few reports which will tell you the information that what exactly happened in that particular stage. Okay, and there is a feature called auto pick confirm. So if you will pick it, if you will confirm, like your order is picked from warehouse to staging area, someone needs to confirm it that someone has received it into the staging area. So auto pick confirm is the option that it will be automatically confirmed. If that is not there, then we need to manually do another step called transact move order. So transact move order is basically you're moving the item from sub inventory to staging area. Okay. So that is a manual step if auto pick confirm is not selected while pick release step. Okay. Um, so in this case, it will create a delivery. Now, as I told you, auto create delivery also is an another feature in the pick release. If you will automatically select auto create delivery option, it will create a new delivery. Basically, that delivery will be attached to those. So there might be a chance that you are placing an order, and you might have seen that in the e-commerce platform as well. That if you are placing an order of 3 items, there might be a chance that two are coming together and one is coming afterwards. So basically for those two, you will be having one delivery, and for other, there will be a different delivery. Okay, so that is how the deliveries are identified, but both these deliveries are attached to the same order. So that is how it is. One order can have multiple deliveries based on their delivery times and other parameters. Okay, so same like in this particular step, it will create the delivery. If auto create delivery is set to yes, and it will put the record in table called WSH new deliveries, which will have delivery ID populated. And all these are the technical details which will get impacted in this particular step. That in this step or in this step, order line will be picked. The status of the order line will be picked. And on the shipping form, if you'll go, so there are two forms. One is for the launch pick release, and other one is the shipping form. So in the launch pick release, as soon as you will release that particular item from sub inventory to your warehouse, the order line will become picked, but your the delivery line status will be pick confirmed. So there are two different statuses: order line status and delivery status. Order line status will traverse from booked to awaiting shipping to picked to shipped and closed. Okay, but then your delivery status can be staged, pick confirm, released, released to warehouse, ready to release. So there are different types of status possible for the delivery. So those different status will be basically traversing from 1.3 to 1.4. So it will be launch pick release to ship confirm. That will be traversing from this step to ship confirm step. Okay, and that how that particular cycle will flow, we will have another slide for that, which is in the end, which is more of a technical approach, that how and at what particular stage, what will be the status of the delivery line. Okay, so the next is ship confirm the order. So basically now your order is in the staging area. Now what will happen? Freight carriers will pick up those order and transfer it to the customer. So basically shipping will happen in this case. And while you are shipping the order, there are commercial invoice, packing slip report, bill of lading. All these are reports, different types of reports, which is basically telling you the information that, okay, this order is having this many deliveries. This delivery got shipped in this particular, what were the items, what is the invoice for this item. So all those things will be generated, and how that will generate it, there's a program called interface trip stop. That program will be automatically triggered. If it is not triggered, in which scenario it will not be triggered, there is a option called defer interface. Okay, when you're shipping it, Shipping can happen, this ship confirm can happen from the shipping transaction screen. And in this screen, when there is an option called ship confirm, when you are doing the ship confirm, if you have the checkbox differ interface not checked, in that case, it is expecting that you uh, close this particular trip manually. So you need to run this interface trip stop program manually, which will in turn run commercial invoice, packing slip report, and bill of lading. Okay, so this is a sub part of this particular thing. If the differ interface is not checked, in that case only you need to run it. Otherwise, it will be automatically run. And what exactly it will do, it will close that particular delivery, that okay, now it is shipped. There is nothing pending for this particular delivery. It will move the like it will deduct the inventory. So basically in this particular step, you can consider that this item is now not available with the seller. It's now went to the customer. So the quantities will be reduced, item quantities will be reduced at this particular step after ship confirm. Okay, account details will be accounting information. So accounting information is basically what accounts will be hit because of this particular order. So hit as in where the debit or credit will happen for this order. Okay, so all these informations will be updated at this stage. If you'll see the more technical details, what exactly it will update this ITS, that it will update the shipped quantity, then actual shipment date, when exactly it got shipped. Then also in order lines table, we have a flag called OE interface flag. OE interface flag as in whether the all the processes from the order management is completed or not. So now after this, we are moving to another module called accounts receivable. So all the processes will now happen to that. Now everything from the order management module is completed. Okay, so that is what it will do. It will put inventory interface flag, O interface flag as Y. This will, if you'll see, it signifies that ITSS interface shipping data to OM. This will interface this will signify that ITSS interface shipping data to inventory. Okay, so it will decrease the quantity, it will close the line, it will update the ship quantity, actual shipment date in the order line information, and also these two flags. Okay, so these are the two main components of it, that it will update the order management data and also it will trigger the inventory interface, which will update the inventory tables. That is what the interface strip stop do, which will basically automatically triggered in most of the cases. Okay. Invoice. So basically now we are moving from order management to AR accounts receivable, and here we have a important process which will transfer the data from order management to accounts receivable, which is your workflow background process. So workflow background process will take all the eligible lines whichever got shipped from order management and put it into the accounts receivable interface. So in any case, this will not directly move to the base table. So you might be knowing the concept of interface tables and base tables. So first we will put the data into the interface table, and here for accounts receivable we have a table called RA interface lines all. Okay, and in this particular table we have three major components through which you can identify that this particular line belongs to which order and which delivery. There is a line context, or sorry, okay, line context which will be coming as order entry when the line is interface from the order management to AR module. Then line attribute 1, interface line attribute 1, which is your order number. Interface line attribute 3, which is your delivery ID. And there is one more, which is interface line attribute 6, which is your order line ID. Through this four, which is not mentioned, I'll update that. Through this four, you can identify that this particular line in this interface table belongs to which order, which line, and which delivery. Okay, and this workflow background process is basically responsible to put the data into your interface table. Now to transfer the data from your interface to your base table is auto invoice master and auto invoice import program. Master program will basically spawn the import program, and what it will do, it will take all the eligible lines from the interface table and create the invoice. And when we are talking about creating the invoice, the base table for invoices RA customer TRX all and RA customer TRX lines all. TRX all is basically invoice header, and this is invoice lines information. And here also you can find interface header attribute 1, which will be your order number. Here interface line attribute 1 will be your order number. There is interface line attribute 6, which will be your line ID in RA customer TRX line solve. So auto invoice master program will be responsible to transfer the data from the interface to base tables and basically responsible to create the invoice. Okay. If something fails while you are transferring, or because of some reason order didn't get created, sorry, invoice didn't get created, so you can see the errors in RA interface error solve. And even on in the front end also we have correction screen where you can just see what exactly why this particular order is stuck in the interface, why it didn't get invoiced. Okay, so you might have a screen for that where you can see what exactly the error is, and we just need to correct it to, and then it will be picked up in the next batch. Okay, when you will run the auto invoice master program, you can also run it for some specific order. When you're running the auto invoice master program, we have an option to pass the order number. And when you will pass the order number, auto invoice master program will only run and try to create the invoice for that order. It will not pick up any other line. If you'll pass the batch source, basically like order entry, that you want to create the invoices for all the orders, whichever is like having some particular source. There are different sources. So sources is basically coming from your transaction type. Like this order was created in Australia, and there might be some another order which is created in Canada. So those two orders might have a different source based on their configuration. Okay, there are transaction type, and transaction type will basically it will be like basically gather all those order lines, and like which particular source we need to put it. So if it belongs to this organization, this operating unit, and if it is having this particular context, then create assign this particular batch source. So we have batch transaction, like batches, there is a setup called batch as well, and transaction type as well, which will be basically responsible to have that particular thing decided, that which source it belongs to. Okay, so you can run auto invoice master program based on those parameters, and it will pick up those records based on whatever parameters you have passed. Receipt, which is basically once you receive the payment, you are just creating the receipt for that we have received this much payment. You can There is an auto lockbox process. I am not sure about that particular setup, but then there is a setup for lockbox which will basically automatically create the receipt. And then we can also manually create the receipt. And when you are creating manually receipt, you can apply that particular receipt to some invoice. You can have multiple receipts also applied to that particular invoice. And these are the tables which will be basically involved when you are talking about receipt and invoice connection. So we have AR receivable application solve, which will basically tell you that which receipt applied to which particular invoice. And basically that invoice is nothing but customer TRX ID from your RA customer TRX all. Okay. Process, which is basically, as I told you, that now everything from the receivables will move to the general ledger module, and this is the program which will be responsible to transfer the data for all your transactions, like your adjustments or credit memos or debit memos or your invoices. Everything will be transferred to GL interface through this program. In 11i, we were using this general ledger transfer program, but in R12, we will use create accounting, which is combination of general ledger transfer program and also journal import. Okay, so based on our parameters, whichever we have selected in create accounting, it will trigger these processes. Okay, if you will have draft for like for viewing purpose, if you want to see how what exactly is happening, this will run the transfer journal entries to GL, and also journal import will be triggered, but it will not post it. Okay, and here when you are talking about final, it will be AR to GL interface final. This is only for the viewing purpose. This is posting data to the GL interface, and here it will post to GL. So basically journal import, posting, and transfer to GL. All these three steps will be included in this based on your parameters. Okay, if you don't want to post it, you can just select the option that don't posting no. Okay. have another step called journal import. So now consider all your data is moved to general ledger interface table. But now to move it to the base tables, you have journal import, which will transfer the data from general ledger interface table to their base tables, which will basically create the journals, that this journal and the one journal can have multiple orders, transactions, debit memos, credit memos, receipt transaction. So everything will come into journals. Even if there is a invoice for that, then we created the transaction for the receipt, then created the transaction for the um, debit memo, credit memo, everything will fall into journal import, and you can link it. You can see all those data into GL, JE batches, JE headers, and JE lines. Step is posting, which is basically posting the data that okay, this is the account which got debited with this amount, and which got created with this amount. So which is basically like posting all your transactions into the final balances. And basically this is the table which will be impacted because of that, which is GL balances. Okay, so this is like your generic O2C flow, which will be followed in this manner for the normal order. There are different types of O2C flows. Whenever you have a inventory available in your stock, this is the flow which will be followed without any change in the flows. Okay. Then we have, like as I told you, if you have an inventory available in your stock as in your warehouse, then this is the flow which will be followed, that you will place the order, inventory, it will be shipped from the warehouse to customer, and then the invoice will be created. This is where you have inventory available in your warehouse. There are few orders where you need to have the inventory provided by the outside suppliers. So in this case, we have two types of flows. One is back-to-back order flow and another one is drop ship order flow. Okay. So in back-to-back, what will happen? You will first you will receive a sales order. Now then you will see that for this sales order we have two items which needs to be provided by outside suppliers. We don't have it readily available in our warehouse. So we will place a purchase order to that supplier. Supplier will provide it to us, and then we will ship it to the customer. And in that case, uh, we will have another step of purchase orders and all those things. So that is called back to back order flow. And then we have drop ship, where we don't have those items available in our shipping warehouse, but we are connected to that supplier. So we will request that supplier to ship the item to that customer. So we will ask them to supply on behalf of us to the customer. Customer will come to us, but supplier will ship it to them. And the invoice and all we will send it to customer. Customer will pay it to us, and then we need to pay it to the supplier. So that is called drop ship order. Okay. And another different type of O2C flow where um, it is like you have multiple warehouses. Um, Basically, one item is supposed to be shipped from warehouse A, but now the stock has been, it's out of the stock in warehouse A, and this item is also available in warehouse B, but it is located somewhere else. So in this case, you need to get it from the warehouse B, which belongs to the same organization, like which belongs to your own company. But then you need to put an order to the internal sale. That this is called an internal sales order, where you are putting an item that okay, I want to have this item available in warehouse A because I need to ship it to the customer, but I need to get it from the warehouse B. So I will be putting an internal sales order where I'll be getting the item from B to A, and then A will supply it to the customer. So that is called internal sales order. Okay, so there are majorly these three flows in O2C which will be followed as per your item configuration, as per your customer requirements, as per your order configuration. Okay. Now, for any O2C, like for every order to cash flow, there are required setups which we need in the system to have it flow, smoothly. So for that, the first thing is that items should be available and should be created and defined and assigned to some shipping organization. Okay, so it's like basically if this item is shippable, the shipping organization should be assigned. Then we can see that okay, this item is shippable from this particular organization. That thing you can see in the item level definition. Then item should be assigned to a price list. So basically a price should be defined. Okay, so and if there is a different price list, then we need to create a new price list, and that price list should have that item assigned under it, so that whenever you will select an item, the price will come automatically and warehouse will come automatically. Okay. Then the transaction type must be defined. So this transaction type is basically responsible when you are interfacing the data from order management to AR, how that particular should flow. Like in order management, if the order is placed for this items for this operating unit for this shipping warehouse, then in that case, what will be the type of the invoice? Whether it will be debit memo or credit memo for that invoice. So all those things are configured in the transaction type level. Okay, if you'll go to the transaction type, you'll be able to see all those configurations, order management source, what exactly the type name will be, what account will be hit, all those levels of details you will be able to see in transaction type setup. Then we have a document sequence, which should be assigned. Yeah. Okay. Document sequence, which should be assigned to the document category. This is basically the document sequence is nothing but responsible to have your order number. Okay. So that for every this document category should be defined, and also the document sequence should be assigned. Why? Because order number is always automatically generated. In if you want to have a manually generated order, because order number should be unique, that is by default condition. If you will allow the user to enter the order number, it cannot be unique. There are high chances that it will have the duplicate. So because of that, the document sequence should be there, which will automatically create your order number. Okay. Then whatever customer needs to place the order, those should be defined with their billing address and shipping address. So if you will have a customer, you need to define their bill to and ship to sites. So those should be there, which will basically tell us that where exactly we need to bill to and what type of customer it is. External, internal customer. So all those things should be configured, and based on that configuration, when we will create an order and select the customer, you might be seeing that by default some bill to and ship to site is coming. So how that is coming? Because it is a primary site and it is defined at the customer level that this is my primary bill to, this is my primary ship to. Okay. So customer should be defined. Then salesperson should be there. Salesperson is a mandatory field for any sales order, and it should be there. That it should be there in the system. And I believe it is defined at the operating organization level, not the operating unit level, but organization level. That for this organization, this is the salesperson. But you can change it. It's like default thing will be there, but you can change the salesperson, but it's a mandatory thing. So salesperson, whichever is the correct person, it should be defined. Then when if you are supposed to do the shipping role should be granted to the user. So there is a screen in the shipping tab called shipping roles, and you need to grant that particular role to the appropriate user, so that that user can do the shipping of that particular order. Okay. And then items should be available in your shipping sub inventory, or else if it is not available, then you can do the miscellaneous transaction to make it available in your sub inventory. So you can go to inventory management and you can do some miscellaneous transaction to have that particular item available. So basically what you are doing, that you will create a miscellaneous transaction to ensure that, okay, I have shipped this particular item to this warehouse, now you are able to ship it from this warehouse to the customer. Okay. So when you want to do this O2C process flow, or if there is no item available and you just want to have it available in the shipping warehouse, in maybe in real time scenario, you might be the case that something is stuck in the system, and because of that you are not able to ship that order, but item is already available, you have received it in your warehouse. Okay, but because of some system it's not showing. So in that case, what you will do the miscellaneous transaction to make sure that it is available in the warehouse and order is going through in case of emergencies. Okay. So all these are the setups which is basically required, some basic setups. Apart from this also there are many other setups which is required, but okay. And this is basically completely technical. I'll not go line by line, but you can refer this. What are the different types of statuses for each table, some important tables, and at which stage, what tables the important tables which are getting impacted. And as I told you, what will be the status of the delivery, different types of status. So all those things I have listed it down here. You can refer it if you want to, but it's purely technical. Okay. And this is another workflow flow, where you can see what exactly is happening here. Also, from here also you can find out that how the order flows through order management and then into the close status, what exactly is happening. Like when you will book it, it will workflow scheduling will happen, it will create the delivery line, it will ready to release, pick release will happen, so awaiting shipping will be there, transact, move order. So all these sub steps are mentioned in this case. So this will be beneficial if you want to have it, the generic O2C flow, you can have it from this particular diagram. Okay. And I have listed down some of the links which I have referred and which are useful for O2C.